Hi everyone, welcome back. This video is for all my blush lovers out there, and I know if you clicked on this video, I assume you like blush. I have pretty much all the new blushes sitting in front of me. I have the new Tower 28 blushes, the new Rare Beauty blushes, YSL blushes, the Saie SuperSuede, new Glow Recipe, and of course the new shades of the Patrick Ta Double Take blushes. And I thought it would be fun to do just a video dedicated to blush, basically a try on of all the new blushes, and we'll talk about them. I'm going to apply all the shades that I have to my face, and that is today's video. Hopefully this is helpful and maybe it can help you decide which new blush is right for you. Maybe you already have something very similar in your collection and you don't need these new blushes, or maybe you do. I don't know. I hope this is helpful. And if you're new here, my name is Blair. I do all kinds of beauty content here on my channel. I would love for you to stick around and subscribe. But let's just go ahead and get into all the blushes. All right, let's get right into it with the first blush. I guess we'll start with these from Tower 28. So these are the new Get Set Blur and Set Matte Powder Blushes. These were sent to me from Tower 28. Everything else I purchased myself, but this one in particular they did send to me. And I was so excited about that. I very rarely get new launches sent to me, so when I do, it's very exciting. But anyway, I have already tried these. I tried them yesterday for like a little Instagram video. So they sent me 3 shades. I have Long Beach Iced Tea, Samo Spritzer, and Malibu Cooler. I'll go ahead and swatch them for you. These are $22 and they come in 6 shades total. I only have 3 of them. And basically these are supposed to be matte blushes that are like a setting powder. So a setting powder with blush pigment, essentially. And I have tried them and I can confirm that I would absolutely agree with that. I think they're very smoothing, very blurring on the skin, and they're actually very easy to apply. So I do agree with that claim for sure. One of mine did come broken, sadly. The Long Beach Iced Tea was broken when I got it, so I'm trying to be a little bit careful with that one. Here are the swatches. So we have Long Beach Iced Tea, Malibu Cooler, and Samo Spritzer. So 3 really different colors. We have a very warm neutral, a pretty bright kind of poppy cool toned pink, and then Samo Spritzer down here is kind of a plum mauve, I guess is how I would describe it. But 3 very different colors. I love all 3 actually, but there are the swatches. So as you can see, there is no shimmer here. These are matte, matte, matte. So right away, if you don't love a matte blush, these are not going to be the ones for you. If you do, especially if you have oily skin and you struggle with pores, texture, just uneven skin texture in general, this might be a good formula to look into because they do really smooth and blur the skin like a setting powder does. They are just like this, which this is their Get Set powder that came out probably about a year ago or so. I love this powder, and this formula is this blush formula. So if you like this, you will probably love these. So we'll start with Long Beach Iced Tea, which is the neutral one. I'm kind of being careful with mine because mine is broken. So the component on these is just pretty standard plastic, small, round packaging. The component is kind of see-through, so it's the color of the blush, but then it's kind of see-through as well. It's a very basic component. I'm going to use the Sephora 96 brush to apply Long Beach Iced Tea. So this color I would say is the most muted of all of them. So it's going to show up the least right away, but there it is, kind of lightly applied there. We'll build it up a little bit so you can see the color a little bit better. But these actually do really smooth the skin. just like a setting powder would. So I do absolutely agree with that claim. Is that like 100% necessary? Probably not, but if that's something that you're looking for and that would serve your skin type, then that might be a blush formula for you. So there is Long Beach Iced Tea. Really pretty, neutral, will go with everything. And yeah, looking up close, I don't know how true this will come off on camera, but in person, it is very, very smoothing looking on my skin, on my cheek. It looks like setting powder, but just like a nude setting powder on my cheek. I'm gonna go ahead and apply it to the other cheek too. I don't like seeing cheek stuff just on one side. I feel like I can't get the full picture when I see that. So I'm gonna take one for the team here and apply both cheeks with the same color, and I'll just have to remove it many times, but it'll be okay. Now this brush is a little bit more on the dense side, so I'm using this with this shade just because this is a lighter one, but I would probably choose a fluffier brush for this formula if I were choosing. We'll use a fluffier brush for the other two shades. All right, so there is Long Beach Iced Tea on both sides. This is definitely a shade that I can see myself reaching for quite a bit just because it's neutral and it will go with pretty much everything. It's very wearable, you know, it's not super bright and vibrant. I could literally pair this with any eye, any lip, and it would go well with it. So this is a color I will definitely continue to use. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this one and we'll move into the other two shades. All right, let's move into blush 2, which is Malibu Cooler. Now this is the really bright poppy pink in the Tower 28 line. This, I was actually surprised when I tried this for the first time. I don't think it's quite as unnatural looking as some of the other cooler pink blushes, because I don't know, I haven't been as into this type of tone lately, but I really liked this one. So you get quite a bit of product just dipping in one time, so keep that in mind. I switched to the Flower Beauty blush brush for this one, because this is, you know, more of a vibrant color, and I just typically prefer a fluffier powder brush for powder blush. And you can see as long as you tap the brush off and kind of get rid of any excess that's just like sitting right on the brush, the pigment is very manageable. It's pigmented, but not to the point where it's like hard to work with. So I really like that about these. They're very easy to apply, easy to blend, and they do actually smooth and blur the skin. But I do think that pink is really pretty, even though it is that kind of bright Barbie pink. I do like this one. I like it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Same thing on this side. These are also pretty long wearing based on just trying them yesterday. I wore the shade that I wore, which is actually the last shade, for about, I don't know, I didn't wear it the entire day because it took me a while to film with them, but I wore it for a solid like 5 or 6 hours, and the blush was still fully like intact by the time I took my makeup off. So there is Malibu Cooler on both sides. Like I said, I'm kind of surprised by how much I like this shade. I don't know what it is, but I really like the tone of it. It's that bright pink, but I don't know, something about it, it's not like too cool toned that it looks unnatural, but it still gives you that really bright kind of baby doll effect. It's really, really, really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this one, and then I'll be back and we'll move into the last shade. Okay, last we're gonna apply Samo Spritzer, which looks like this. This is definitely the deepest color of the 3 that I have, for my skin tone at least. And this one is really pretty as well. I'm gonna switch to a different brush for this one. And I'm just kind of going in the cap here. These do not have a mirror or anything, by the way, so there's nothing there in the lid. but I'm gonna apply this one. This one is a really beautiful mauve tone, which I personally love. I really like mauve tones in the fall, but I also like them just year-round. How pretty is that color? I love this one. I actually really like all three of these. I was thinking I would have a clear favorite after I applied all three, but I really didn't yesterday when I did. So there is Samo Spritzer. I kind of built that one up more than I probably would normally, just so you can really see the color. Something else I did want to point out about these is I was a little bit worried about them with my skin right now because my skin is on the dry side, how I would like this formula, but actually it doesn't look drying or chalky on my skin, which is kind of what I was worried about. It definitely smooths and sets the area, but it doesn't look dry on the skin, and that's definitely something I was a little bit worried about with these, just because my skin is definitely on the dry side right now. All right, so this is the last shade in Samo Spritzer. I really like this one too. I think, you know, mauve tones for me personally, I really, really like. And this one is it's pretty pigmented for me, and it's still pretty easy to apply. It's not too much where it's overwhelming or it's difficult. So I really, really like this one as well. So my opinion on the Tower 28 blushes is these are a hit for me. I would recommend them if you like a matte blush, just a straight matte blush, particularly if you have normal combo oily skin and maybe you struggle with oiliness, texture, pores, anything like that, and you want just a very basic blush, but you want it to be really smooth and blurring on the skin, these would be one I would recommend looking into. I'm excited about these, and I'll definitely continue using them. All right, moving into the next formula. This is the new blush from Saie. This is their SuperSuede Radiant Powder Blush. This one I have not tried, so this is gonna be first impression of this. In fact, I just got this a few days ago. I wanted to do this video and I realized this was the one like brand new formula that I didn't have. So I went out and got one of these. So this is the packaging. First thing I've got to say about this packaging, incredibly lightweight and plasticky feeling. Now, the Tower 28s are also plastic. They feel a little bit more substantial than this one from Saie. This one feels really, really thin and cheap. Just gotta be honest, it really does. Not that that's the most important thing, but you know, I'm gonna point it out. Another similarity between the Saie and the Tower 28 is they're both talc-free, and the Saie retails for $28. So it's $6 more than the Tower 28, and you get less product in here. I just had to double check, but that's correct. You get 0.01 ounces of product in here. In the Tower 28, you get 0.141 ounces, which, you know, still very little product, but in a blush, do we go through powder blushes that often? No, but you know, you are getting significantly more in the Tower 28 than you are in the Saie. The Saie formula also comes in 6 shades. I just picked up one since I wasn't dying to get my hands on this one, so I just picked up one. This one is the shade Mia, and that is it there. It's a really nice pink, but it's a little bit, it's like a warmer peachy pink, I would say, but very nice. So as you can see, this one has some radiance to it. This is not a matte blush. It isn't super glittery though. Like, in fact, I don't see any glitter in the formula. It just has that really nice kind of baked glow that you get from that type of formula. It reminds me just in the swatch of the Kosas blushes. So I'll be curious to see how that compares to that one. I'm gonna go ahead and use this brush, I think, from BK Beauty. This is the 112. And just start applying. I do really like this color because it's pink, but I feel like you also get a little bit of that corally tone in there as well. So I do really like it. Okay, so that is the Saie formula. So very different finish for sure from the Tower 28. Has some definite glow there. Do you see that? Yeah, some definite glow because I don't have on any highlighter or anything like that. Also, when I've been reapplying this cheek makeup over and over, I have been just kind of lightly setting the cheek area with my Kosas pressed powder just to make sure everything is equally able to apply evenly and the base underneath is not interfering with anything. But there is the Saie. I gotta say, that one's very, very pretty. It's pigmented, but not extremely. It looks really smooth on the skin. I mean, it doesn't look blurring, which is kind of obvious, like the Tower 28. I could definitely see if you have a lot of pores in this area, it might exaggerate or emphasize them, which is pretty standard for any type of blush with this finish. But I gotta say, I do like the way this looks. I like the color, I like the pigment level. It applied really evenly. I was curious to see how Saie would do powder blushes like this because they don't have any powder products, do they? I feel like all their complexion products have been cream or liquid. So this is kind of their first pressed powder product. Initial thoughts, I like this. I was saying earlier, it kind of reminded me of the Kosas blushes in the swatch. Seeing them on the face, or seeing this one on the face, this is a little bit glowier to me than the Kosas blush. This is giving a definite glow there. Do you see it? It looks like I have a highlighter on, even though I don't. So yeah, this is definitely a glowier baked blush than the Kosas. But I gotta say, I do kind of like it. I like this more than I thought I was going to, but it is glowy, and I could definitely see if you have a lot of texture, a lot of pores in this area, I could see this might emphasize them. So that is the Saie SuperSuede Radiant Blush in the shade Mia. Now, honestly, all the colors in these blushes were really pretty. I just went with this one because this is a color I knew I would personally use and it would go with a lot of things. Is this anything crazy that we've never seen before? No. Is it something I think I'll continue to wear and I really like so far? Yes. I'll have to wear it and let you know on the wear time. I haven't used this one like I've used the Tower 28 one to tell you how the wear compares, but I will leave all that information in the description box of this video. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this one and we'll move into the next blush. All right, moving into the next blush, we have the new ones from Rare Beauty. Now, these are not currently available. They did release them on the Sephora app for like 24 hours a few weeks ago. That's when I ordered these, but they're not currently available. They're coming, I believe, sometime in the next week or two. Definitely will be in March. So they're not available yet, but they're coming. I have not tried these. So these are the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Matte Bouncy Blush. So these are a cream to powder formula. Honestly, the component looks like a larger version of the Tower 28. The size is different, but the packaging in general looks very, very similar. It's the same like plastic kind of see-through packaging. So that's interesting, but the Rare Beauties retail for $27. So they are $1 less than the Saie, which was $28, and $5 more than the Tower 28, which are $22. But you actually get the most product in the Rare Beauty. You get 0.22 ounces in here, whereas with the Saie you got 0.01, and with the Tower 28 you got 0.14. So you do get the most product here. And this is a cream to powder. So it has kind of an interesting looking texture there. And I got 3 shades of this because I wanted to review them for you. So here we go. Let's swatch them. So this is shade Hope, which is a very very popular shade in their Soft Pinch Liquid Blush. So that really doesn't look like Hope to me in the liquid form. That is much peachier looking than Hope. Hope is more of a like pinky mauve color to me in the liquid version, so that's interesting. But that one is the shade Hope. So it is definitely very creamy when you swatch it, but then it turns to powder once it's applied. And as we can see, it looks very pigmented. All right, let's move into the next one. This one, I almost didn't get this shade, but I was kind of curious, and I don't own a red blush, so I did pick it up. This is the shade Grateful. So this one is red, and I know red is a very trending thing right now with blushes, and I actually don't own one. So I figured I could try it. Now this might be very pigmented for me for a red blush, but we will give it a try. So that's it there. It's a very bright kind of cherry red color, which is really, really pretty. But I keep seeing so many people apply red and it looks great on everyone. So I'm excited to try that. And the final color that I got is Happy, which is another one of their very popular Soft Pinch liquid blush colors. And Happy is the brighter pink. Yeah, this texture is so interesting. It feels creamy, almost like a putty type of formula when you swatch it, but then it turns to just like a standard looking matte blush, which is interesting. So this is Happy, this is Grateful, and this is Hope. Honestly, Happy and Hope don't look that different from each other, do they? Neither of them look like the liquid blush to me. They both look a little bit different, which that's interesting. All right, let's go ahead and apply these. I am kind of nervous about this one. Sometimes I do find cream to powder formulas can be a little bit tricky in terms of a cheek product. So I'm feeling a little bit apprehensive about this one. So let's hope for the best. We'll start with the shade Hope. And again, I don't really know what blush brush to use to apply this. I think we're gonna try this first. This is the 107 from BK Beauty. I do think a cream to powder typically requires a brush that has a little bit of density to it. I don't want to go overboard. So I'm kind of getting it on there, and then I am just kind of bouncing it on my hand. If you remember a few years ago, this is probably 2 years ago or so, Rare Beauty launched the powder blushes that most people weren't crazy about. They were more of a highlighter blush formula. They were very, 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 very glowy. So those were definitely not a huge hit. I don't even know if they still make those actually. I think they do. All right, so there's Hope. So good news, that was not hard to apply at all. I think this blush brush choice was a good one for this formula. That's pretty. Let's try to build it up a little bit. Ooh. Okay, that's nice. That's really nice, actually. I was afraid this was going to be hard to apply, and that was not hard at all. That is really, really beautiful. Very smooth, and it has like a creaminess to it, even on the skin after you've applied it. I don't think it looks super matte, though. And they do say this is a matte formula. I'm not seeing a super matte finish. I mean, I do have foundation underneath. I did use a little bit of a powder, just a tiny, tiny bit on the cheeks when I reapplied earlier, but barely any. So I don't know, maybe some of the luminosity from my foundation is kind of coming through there, but definitely doesn't look matte to me. Pleasantly surprised by that one. Let's apply on the other side. So this is kind of reminding me of the MAC Glow Play blushes, but this one you don't have to dig your brush in as much as I find that you do with the MAC ones, but the finish and the overall just kind of application is kind of reminding me of those. And yeah, I would not say this looks identical to the liquid version, but okay, that is actually very, very pretty. It looks glowy. It looks more like a cream on my skin than it does a powder, which, like I said, maybe that's just coming from what I have underneath. I don't know, but it looks very smooth on my skin. This one looks more creamy than the Saie, but it's kind of giving the same glow that we got from the Saie. I think the Saie was even glowier actually. So this one is the shade Hope from Rare Beauty. Very nice neutral, kind of a rosy neutral. I really like this a lot. I'm pleasantly surprised, honestly. This is actually kind of reminding me of a formula from Natasha Denona that was in one of her face palettes a few years ago. I think it was the Glam face palettes that had a cream blush and a cream highlighter. The blush in there, that's what this formula is reminding me of. I do remember that blush dried out a little bit after a while, so I kind of wonder how this formula would be after, you know, months of using it and having it open. But I really like this color from Rare Beauty. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this one and I'll be back and we'll move on to the next shade. Let's keep going. I did just realize something when I was reapplying my cheeks is after the foundation, I have been putting on just like a tiny bit of this, the Mario Skin Enhancer, just to give my skin like a little bit of something. This is a very balmy, dewy product, so I don't know, maybe that's kind of coming through underneath these Rare Beauty blushes. But I did also then take a little bit of pressed powder and just powder the whole area. So it should be pretty set down and not super balmy and dewy, but I did just want to point that out because I have been applying that each time. So let's apply the next one. Let's do the red one. I'm really excited to try this. I'm a little nervous because, like I said, I've never used a red blush before. I think since I know the 107 works well, I'm just going to use this. I'm just going to wipe it off really well. Got some on the brush. Every time I see someone use a red blush, it makes me think of that RMS Beauty ad. I'm sure you've seen it, where Rosemary, the lady that is the founder of RMS, she is like talking about red blush or something, how she used to do the makeup for the Victoria's Secret fashion show and how she always used a red blush on them. And you wouldn't think that just looking at the models, but there's an ad out there where she's talking about the fact that she always used red because it looked good on everybody. And okay, now I can kind of see why. Okay, that is pretty. And that is a red blush. Can you believe that? Like, I would never think this would look like that. Oh my goodness. All right, now I'm really happy that I did get the red. I almost didn't buy this shade because I didn't know if it would work for me, but oh my goodness, wow. Loving it, and I am loving the way these look on my skin. Wow. They're so smooth and pretty and just creamy. Like, they just melt right into the skin. Okay, very excited about this. Let's go ahead and do the other side. Let me know if you have a red blush and you love it. I'm curious because I've been putting it off for quite a while. In fact, when Patrick Ta released his new blush shades, he released the shade Left Me on Red, which is that really beautiful, bright, poppy red. And I didn't get that one because I wasn't sure I would use it. I didn't think it would work for me. And I think in that formula, that might be a little bit too much because his blushes are so pigmented. That one might be kind of hard for me to wear in red, but I'm loving this. And it's not intensely, you know, pigmented, like to the point where I have to be super careful either. All right, so there is Grateful from Rare Beauty, and I am absolutely in love with how this one looks. So don't let this color scare you if you're around my skin tone, because I really thought, oh, I don't know if I should buy this, but oh my gosh, this may be my favorite one out of this whole video. And I'm shocked. I would have never guessed that in the beginning of this at all. All right, I'm gonna remove this one and I'll be back and we'll apply Happy. All right, finally, let's apply Happy, which is the brighter pink. Looks like this. Let's see what this one looks like. I'm gonna use the same brush. I just really wiped mine off. Curious how different this will look on my skin from the Hope shade. Because earlier when I swatched them, Hope and Happy didn't look that different to me from each other. But I'm curious how it will actually apply and look on the skin. All right, so there's Happy. Definitely looks similar to Hope. This one is definitely a little bit brighter, just a little bit more vibrant, more pink. The other one's a little bit rosier, more like almost like a peachy rose. But yeah, I do think those two look kind of similar on the skin. So I definitely don't think you need both colors. I think if you like one of those colors, you could just pick one because they're gonna give you a very similar effect. I will say I like that you can build these up. Like these are a lot easier to apply than the liquid blushes. The liquid blushes, you could not just like keep adding more and more and more and more. If you did, it would most likely be, you would look crazy by the end. This one, you can really just continue to add if you want, or keep it very, very soft. Truly a buildable formula, which is really nice for blush, in my opinion. I definitely prefer that type of formula. So there is Happy applied on both sides. Definitely on the cheeks, on my skin tone, though similar to Hope. So definitely don't think you need both shades. I would pick one or the other. So in terms of the formula on these, I kind of think that these would be suitable for all skin types, just based on the 3 we've tried so far. These, I think drier skin and oilier skin could probably get away with them because they're not matte like the Tower 28, but they're not like glowy, almost like a little bit of highlighter in there like the Saie. They kind of fall in between. And I really do. I think most skin types could wear this. And they're really easy to apply. And you get the most product of these 3. You get the most in the Rare Beauty. So these are very impressive. At the end of the video, I'll give you like my top favorite, most likely. And I was convinced this was not going to be it. I don't know why. I didn't think I was going to love these, but I was wrong. All right, I'll remove this and we'll move into the next blush. All right, let's move into the next blush, which are the YSL blushes. So these are the YSL Make Me Blush powder blushes. I have 2 of them. Now these I have worn and used quite a bit, so I'm very familiar with this formula at this point. These retail for $45, so they are the most expensive of the blushes that we've tried so far. They have the most beautiful packaging by far of any of these, like it's not even close. These are very substantial feeling. They're beautiful. They have this nice like leather outer packaging. I mean, they couldn't have made these any prettier if you ask me. Let me double check the amount of product that you get in here. Okay, so you get 0.17 ounces in the YSL blushes. So far the Rare Beauty has the most product. Saie has the least amount of product with 0.01, followed by Tower 28 at 0.14, and YSL is 0.17, so just slightly more than the Tower 28. So that's a comparison for you. Obviously, the YSL is the most expensive by far, which is not that surprising. It's YSL, and honestly, the packaging alone, in my opinion, kind of makes up for the price, because this is just, they're so beautiful. All of YSL's packaging is beautiful. So I have 2 shades. I have this one, which is unfortunately not sold in the United States. This is shade number 6, which is Rose Haze. And I know you're wondering, well, how did you get your hands on it if it is not in the United States? I went on Mercari and found someone that was selling a new one, and I bought it from her. So yes, I overpaid. Like, I way overpaid for it, but you know what? I really, really like it and I don't regret it. So here is shade 44, which is the other one that I have. Nude Lavalier, I think is how you say it, which is the satin formula. And then this is Rose Haze, which is the matte formula. Now, these very pigmented, a little bit goes a long way. They are very, very, very long wearing. I've worn these quite a bit over the last few weeks. I've had these for the longest out of all of these, with the exception of the Patrick Ta. I think I've had the Patrick Ta a little bit longer. So let's go in with this one. Now this is Rose Haze, so this is the one that you cannot get in the United States, unfortunately, but I do want to apply it just so you can see. I do like to use a fluffier brush with these just because they are so pigmented. I just find I can get a little bit more control with a brush like this. So this is the Flower Beauty blush brush. And I did wipe mine off pretty well because I did use this earlier. So this one is a little bit more of like a peachy color. It's interesting to me that they call it rose, because at least on my skin tone, it's a little bit peachier. There's a little bit of rosiness in there, but I would say it's like a peachy pink. This formula is the matte formula. So this is matte. There is no shimmer. There's no glow or anything. It's just a matte blush, but they do apply beautifully over the skin. I wouldn't say they are as blurring though as the Tower 28. The Tower 28 gives a definite like smoothing, blurring effect when you apply it, like a pressed setting powder does, which is, you know, the whole marketing premise behind those blushes. This one is matte, but I wouldn't say that it blurs really like the Tower 28. But it's beautiful and I love Rose Haze. Love it. It's very neutral. I feel like it'll go with everything, and you know, did I overpay for it? Yes, I did, but I don't regret it. I really don't, because I really, really like it. Why they did not release this color in the United States, I would really like to know. Maybe, I'm still holding out hope that maybe they'll get them eventually. Because there's also the other one in Nocturnal Nude. That's more of like a brownie nude. I really wanted that one too, but that shade is not available in the United States either. I will also say that I have worn this formula both ways, and it does apply the best if you are applying it to a very lightly set area. So I have applied this over like a wet, dewy base on the cheek, and it's a little harder to apply that way. I think it applies the best if you've lightly powdered the area first. Whereas the Tower 28, because those are more of like a setting powder, those I find you can kind of get away with that a little bit more instead of having to set beforehand. So there is Rose Haze on both sides. I mean, I will say part of me is kind of in love with these because of the packaging. I mean, no, that's not the most important thing, but I mean, I think pretty much anyone that loves makeup and loves blush can agree this is like one of the cutest, prettiest components that we've seen in quite a while in makeup for a blush. So I do really like them for that, but the formula is really lovely on these. I'll be right back and we'll move into shade 44. All right, let's apply shade 44, which is this really pretty pink, like a cooler toned mauve-y pink. It's one of the iconic YSL shades. 44 they make in the liquid blush, the powder blush, pretty much all the lip products. So we're gonna apply this. I'm gonna go back to this brush. I just wiped mine off. This, you do get a lot of product just dipping one time. But look at this color. I love this shade. I know I've said that so many times, but I really, really love 44 in the blush from YSL. I mean, look at that. Stunning. Now this one is the satin formula, so it does have a glow to it. This is not as glowy in my opinion as the Saie SuperSuede that we tried earlier in Mia. That one gave more of like almost a highlighter effect. This one gives a glow, and I mean, you can definitely see it there, but not quite as glowy as that one. That one definitely looked like I had applied like a separate highlighter over it, almost like a liquid highlighter, but I didn't. This one just has the glow, but it doesn't, it's just not quite as intense as the Saie formula. I love this blush brush actually with this formula in particular, but I believe this was a limited edition from Refer. So I don't think you can get it anymore, sadly. So there is shade 44. I love the matte and the satin formula of these. I do think the satin formula is a little bit easier to apply in the YSL. I don't really know why. The matte is not difficult. Something about the satin formula in this formula is just so effortless. It takes no effort at all. I mean, you saw I just kind of went in very, very easily with a few of these, and we're good. It applies really beautifully and seamlessly on the skin. The mattes are not patchy or anything. They're just not quite as easy, in my opinion, as the satin formula. But I mean, I love the shade 44. If you like these pinky kind of rosy mauve tones, this color is beautiful. So for me personally, yes, the YSL blushes obviously are the most expensive, but to me, I don't regret either of these at all. I love both, and you know, if you like a luxurious formula, you like pretty packaging, and you want just like a special treat yourself kind of blush, I think this is a perfect choice for that, and I do recommend these. I'm gonna take this one off and I'll be back. We're almost done. We'll do the Glow Recipe blush next. All right, let's move into the next blush. This is the Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dewy Blush in the shade Watermelon Flush. So this comes in 2 shades and it retails for $25, and you get 0.4 ounces in here. It's definitely marketed as more of a skincare product, but it's a blush. It's just a very sheer blush. So it does have the Glow Recipe watermelon scent. If you're wondering, it has a doe foot applicator. And this is the color. It's interesting because online they describe this color as a cool toned pink, a light cool toned pink. To me, this is warm. To me, this is not cool toned at all. I would definitely say this is like a warm, like peachy pink to me. So it's definitely not cool toned, but as you can see, as you blend it, it's very sheer. It's more of like a blush tint. It's very glowy, very hydrating, like a skincare product would be. So this is gonna be for a very specific person. This is not like a full face of makeup kind of product. This is more, you threw on tinted moisturizer, a brow gel, maybe some mascara and a lip balm. It's like that kind of product. So this is very sheer. It's not the most long wearing. I will say I was pretty impressed with how long it wore. It's a very sheer product. It's not meant to be super long wearing. So it's not as long wearing as a lot of the other blushes that we've tried, but let's go ahead and I'll just apply it directly on the face. I'm just gonna use this Makeup by Mario angled brush. So as you can see, as soon as you touch this, it's like blended basically. So this is extremely sheer. So you have to be okay with that. I also think it applies best with a very light base underneath. So like right now I have on regular foundation. I have on Makeup Forever Hydro Glow, if you're wondering. But this to me is not really meant to go over that type of product. It's meant to be over either bare skin or a very, very light tinted moisturizer, or maybe you just spot concealed with a little bit of concealer and applied a little bit of this. This is not really something I would say is great for like a full face of makeup. This is definitely more of a light makeup product. So for that reason, I would say not everyone's gonna like this, because you can see it blends really easily, but it blends to not a whole lot of pigment, and a lot of glow. So that's only gonna be for a certain type of person. But there it is there. It's nice. I'm not like blown away by it. I think it's pretty. I think if you like this type of thing, if you're into more of like the minimal makeup look, you like something really glowy and hydrating, you might really like this. But you could also get, a similar effect taking another liquid blush that you already own and mixing it with a tinted moisturizer or a moisturizer, a liquid illuminator, something like that would kind of sheer it out. So you could definitely achieve this same look without buying this product. So that's kind of my thought on this. It's nice though. It's not difficult to blend directly on the face, but is everyone gonna love it? Probably not, because it does blend away almost to not a lot. But that might be a good thing for you. It might be a bad thing. But there it is on both sides. It's very glossy, very dewy. So this one to me is just okay. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not like a standout product. It's very sheer. It's almost like non-existent when you blend it. You can see it on my skin tone, but you saw I went in and reapplied this a few times just to get this level of color. So I don't think it's necessary. I think this is just an okay launch. To be honest, I don't think it's bad, but I don't think a lot of people are gonna love it. This is only gonna appeal to like a niched group of consumers, in my opinion. All right, I'm gonna remove this and then we'll move into the last blush, which are the two new blushes from Patrick Ta. All right, moving into the last of the blushes, we have two new shades from Patrick Ta. I have shown these in a video already, but since this is a blush video and these are newer launches, I figured I would include them just in case you want to see them in comparison to some of the others. This is one of the new shades in She's Seductive. That is very beautiful. It's a really nice, warm, nude blush color. Now, the Patrick Ta blushes are some of my favorites. I have been talking about them for years and years and years. But this is She's Seductive. So we have the cream and the powder. Now, the Patrick Ta blushes are extremely pigmented. So you do have to be careful. So for that reason, they're not the most user-friendly formula. I would not recommend these for a beginner. They require a little bit more skill to apply just because of the pigment level. If you are newer to cream blush or powder blush or blush in general, I would direct you to some other formulas as opposed to this one. However, they are beautiful. They're very long wearing. You can wear the cream and then the powder on top, which is kind of the traditional way of applying, or they do apply well with the powder first and then a little bit of the cream tapped on top. You can do it either way. So that is She's Seductive. Very similar to his shade in Not Too Much that he released last year. Not Too Much has been my favorite since that one was released. I'm still kind of trying to determine if I like She's Seductive more than Not Too Much, but let me swatch the other shade for you here. So the other shade that I have that is new is She Goes to the Gym, which is up here. So She Goes to the Gym cream, She Goes to the Gym powder. This is more of a mauve, but like a rosy mauve. Very, very pretty. I would say somewhat similar in tone to Samo Spritzer from Tower 28. I really do like this color. But again, as you can probably tell from the swatches there, they are very pigmented. So you do have to be kind of careful with the formula. All right, let's go ahead and apply. We'll do She's Seductive first. I think I'm gonna apply with his blush brush. So this is his newer brush. the Precision blush brush. So you get the powder end and the cream end, and they're a little bit smaller than the blush brush he had previously. It's basically just like a mini version of that. But let's go ahead and apply. I'm gonna do powder first and then cream. Or maybe we'll do the opposite on the other side. So as you can see, you get a lot of pigment here. So with these, I typically dip a few times like this. And then I'll kind of go in the palm of my hand and kind of swirl like this. Now, if you're not worried about pigment, then you know that you don't need to do that. But if you're worried about over applying, that's how I would recommend applying these. Okay, so there is the powder. Really, really beautiful nude. Similar, I would say, to Long Beach Iced Tea from Tower 28. In fact, let's just swatch Long Beach Iced Tea just to see. Definitely not as pigmented, I would say, as the Patrick Ta one, but the tone is similar. Yeah, so this is Long Beach Iced Tea from Tower 28. That's She's Seductive. So see how much more intense the pigment is on this than it is on this. And this is obviously a little bit lighter, but the overall tone is the same or similar. All right, so we've got the powder applied. Now I'm gonna flip my brush and go into a little bit of the cream and just tap it on top. But again, I literally tapped one time into the cream. You do not need a lot of this. So there is She's Seductive from Patrick Ta. Powder first and then cream on top. Let's move into the other side and we'll do the opposite. We'll do cream first on this side. Okay, do you see that? Do you see how much pigment I just got from that? That's the thing about these, is you just have to kind of know that going in and be a little bit more careful. If you're a beginner, you might not want to do that. If you're not a beginner, that might not be a big deal to you, but they're definitely a little bit more difficult to apply. Okay, so there's the cream. And you can blend them out, so I don't want to scare you from them. It's just, I don't want to tell you that this is like the easiest formula in the world to use, because it's not. You can go wrong with the Patrick Ta formula very, very easily. But you know, you can also take a foundation brush like I'm doing now, tap over it and fix it. Okay, let's go into the powder now. And I'm gonna do it the same way. Kind of go in the palm of my hand and just tap it on. So I love this. I love this color, but I wouldn't recommend this formula for everyone, like I was saying. But the shade is beautiful. If you have Not Too Much, I will say it is very similar on the face to this one. So if you have that one and you like it, you don't need She's Seductive. They're a little bit different in the swatches if you look at them side by side, but on the skin, or on my skin tone at least, they look almost identical. So if you have Not Too Much, you don't need this one unless you just want it. So that is She's Seductive from Patrick Ta. I do love this color, but you know, if you have Not Too Much, just trust me, you don't need She's Seductive. They look very similar on the face, in my opinion. But beautiful, neutral, warm blush color from Patrick Ta for sure. But let's go ahead. I'm gonna remove this one more time. If y'all could only see what my skin looks like. My skin is so mad underneath this makeup because I've wiped it off and reapplied. I don't know how many times, like 10 or 12 at this point, but I'm gonna go ahead and remove this one more time, and we'll move into the very last blush from Patrick Ta. All right, we're on to the last blush, and that is Patrick Ta, She Goes to the Gym. Such a pretty color, very nice mauve, but like a rosier mauve. I really, really like this one. Again, like I was saying with She's Seductive, this one is very pigmented, especially for my skin tone. I do have to be kind of careful with this one. I will apply the same way we did the other shade. I'll do powder and then cream on this side, and then cream and then powder on the other side. I'm going to use the same Patrick Ta brush so you can see all the pigment you get there, but I'm going to go like this in my palm and then start tapping that on. If you haven't tried this method with the Patrick Ta blushes, I would highly recommend it if you struggle with them. You just kind of have to be, you know, a little bit more precise and a little bit more careful with this formula. But once you figure out how to apply them, they're beautiful. They're very long wearing. You just kind of have to figure out how it works best for you. Like, see, that doesn't look crazy pigmented on me at all. But the key with these, especially with the powders, is this step. You gotta go like this and then go on the skin. Because if you go right on, you're gonna have a lot of product right on your brush because these are very loosely packed. So dipping in one time, you get quite a bit of product and it's very loose. So it's gonna sit right here on the brush and then it's gonna cling to your skin and it's gonna be probably more pigment than you're wanting. But there is the powder in She Goes to the Gym. Now we will flip and get some of the cream. Now the cream I typically do also kind of go on the back of my hand with. Not as important as it is with the powder in my opinion, but you can definitely do that if you're nervous. And I'm just tapping a little bit of that on top. And you can see it gives that really beautiful sheen that you get from cream and liquid blushes. Let's actually swatch She Goes to the Gym next to Samo Spritzer from Tower 28 because that did kind of remind me of this one. Yeah, so this is actually a similar tone as well, just like Long Beach Iced Tea was for She's Seductive. So that is Samo Spritzer from Tower 28. There is She Goes to the Gym from Patrick Ta. So they're not identical, but the tone overall is pretty similar. I do think Tower 28 is just slightly less pigmented, but the tone is similar. Finally, we'll do the cream on the other side. This shade is not super similar to a lot of his other shades. I would say it's most similar, and I've done a few comparisons in videos with swatches of all the Patrick Ta blushes, but this one is probably most similar to Oh She's Different from Patrick Ta, which I think might be being discontinued, or it is discontinued. I'm not sure. You have to get that one from Patrick Ta's website. For some reason, you can't get that shade on Sephora. But this one I would say is a little bit more unique in terms of the color in his range overall. I'm gonna go back to the powder again, go in my palm, and just tap that on. I will say, no matter how you apply these Patrick Ta blushes, they last. They're very long wearing, no matter how you apply them. So if that's something that's really important to you, I can confidently say that. I've been wearing these for years and applying them for years, and they wear very, very, very well and long. So there is She Goes to the Gym. I gotta say, I do love the color She Goes to the Gym, as long as I'm careful and I don't over apply and I do it the way I was showing you. I really love this one. Very, very beautiful. All right, believe it or not, we have made it to the end of this video. If you're still here, are you still here? I don't know, because at this point I've been talking to myself all day long, so I feel like I've been talking to myself for a very long time. But I want to go through these blushes and I want to tell you my top favorite. And keep in mind, some of these I have had more time with than others, but just based on this video, my knowledge of them, how they applied today, everything considered, I want to share the one that I like the most. And then I guess I'll attempt to rank them for you and I'll kind of explain my thoughts on each. If I had to pick one, oh my gosh, this is so hard. I thought this was going to be easy. Okay, my first choice, has to be the YSL. I know it's the most expensive, okay? I know, I get it, but I'm a sucker for these, okay? These were love at first use, love at first sight. I love everything about them. The packaging, the colors, the longevity. I'm just a sucker for them. I think if you like a very luxurious experience and you want to treat yourself to like one special blush, this is a really good option. However, you know, is packaging important to everyone? No. I happen to really like spending money on makeup that has pretty packaging, but not everyone does. It's just a personal preference. But overall, yes, they're very expensive, but I absolutely enjoy these. They make me happy just looking at them, wearing them, applying them. These would have to be my number one. Now, number two, I'm actually shocked by this, to be honest. Number two would actually be these from Rare Beauty. I am shocked by this formula. I don't know why. I just had it in my head I wasn't gonna like these, and I don't know why. I'm not sure what gave me that indication or what reasoning there was behind that. But I like this formula, especially this color in Grateful. Where the heck have I been with red blush? Clearly I should have bought a red blush a long time ago. But apart from the color, this formula is so unique, and I love how it just blends and melts right into the skin. It's cream to powder. So typically, like I said in the earlier clips, I have trouble with cream to powder sometimes applying them on the cheeks, but I did not at all with this formula from Rare Beauty. It was very buildable. You could get a very light wash of color, or you could really build it up to the point where you have a lot of blush on, but it doesn't look like clownish. I thoroughly enjoyed these. I cannot wait to keep wearing them, and I'm surprised. The only thing I do want to point out is on me, they don't look super matte after applying them. They still look pretty creamy on the skin and more almost like a cream blush. Now, whether that was the products I had underneath or not, I don't know, but I don't think they look flat matte, and they do claim to be a matte formula. So I did want to point that out, but actually my number two would probably be these from Rare Beauty. Number three would have to be Patrick Ta, because y'all know me. I still love Patrick Ta blushes. I'm not ranking them higher just because they're not, like I said, they're not the easiest formula. I do have to be careful when I apply these. And because of that, I don't reach for them all the time when I want like an easy, effortless, like no fuss kind of makeup. These are not really no fuss products. You have to kind of be careful and really kind of focus when you apply them. So that's why they're not ranking higher. I still think they're great. I love the colors, and I still recommend these, and I always will, I think, from the Patrick Ta brand. But that's why they're not ranking higher. But I do still I love the Patrick Ta formula, as y'all know. Number four would be Tower 28 blushes, the Get Set powder blushes. These are beautiful if you want a very, very, very matte blush. If you are looking to smooth, blur, if you have texture, if your skin is oily, if you just want to really mattify, but you want a nice blush, powder blush, I bet you would love these. I do think these are probably going to be best for normal combo oily skin. But you know, my skin is dry right now, and I've been able to wear these very well. They don't look chalky or dry on me, but I do think they would probably be best for combo oily skin, just in my opinion. But I really do like these from Tower 28. Number five would be the Saie blush. This is beautiful, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's bad by ranking it number five. I'm mainly ranking it that way because it's a glowy baked blush. We've seen this many, many times. I have other blushes in my collection that look and perform like this. It was beautiful on the skin though, and I love the color, but come on. Packaging is very, very, I mean, this feels like Essence packaging, and I'm not picking on Essence. It's just the first drugstore brand that came to mind that has really thin, lightweight, plasticky feeling packaging. That's what this feels like. And it's $28, and you get 0.01 ounces in here. So you get the least amount of product in here of any of these. So yeah, this has got to be number 5. It's pretty, but is it anything earth-shattering? No. And then number 6, I would have to give it to Glow Recipe, the Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dewy Flush. Like I said, this is only going to appeal to a certain customer. I think you can get, or I know you can get this exact look with something that you have at home. You have something liquid, a liquid blush, a liquid highlighter, a moisturizer, things that you could, a lipstick, things that you could manipulate to get the effect that this gives. I know it's supposed to have, you know, skincare benefits and all of that, but are you applying enough of it to really get any skincare benefit from it? Probably not. It also has just very sheer pigment, as you saw earlier. It almost blends away completely when you blend it, because I went in several times with this and you still barely got any color on the skin. So for those reasons, I would rank this one number 6. And that is everything for today. This is probably a long video. If you're still here, leave a heart emoji in the comments because I would like to know which ones of you stayed until the end of the video. And I'm curious, so leave 3 heart emojis in the comments if you made it to the end of this video. And thank you so much if you did, because I know this was a lot and this was probably a long one, but I hope this was fun, enjoyable. I enjoyed it. It was a little difficult to reapply over and over, but it was also fun to try all these things on my skin. So hope you enjoyed it. I will have all of them linked for you in the description box. I will go ahead and link the Rare Beauty ones. These aren't available yet, but they should be in the next week or so. But I will link everything that we talked about today in the description box, and I'll link all the other makeup I'm wearing if you're curious about anything. If you do shop through my links, I do make a commission that supports my channel, so thank you. And if you're new, I would love for you to subscribe and make sure you're following me over on Instagram at simply.blair and TikTok simply.blair1. And I will see you again very soon. Remember, simply be you. Bye.